Today's announcement brings Hamilton County's death rate to nearly 10%, with 52 confirmed cases and 5 deaths here in the county, compared to Davidson County with 673 confirmed cases, but only 4 deaths. We asked health officials why the death rate was higher here, and they say they don't know. Officials are encouraging people who are experiencing these symptoms to reach out to their health care provider and get tested if need be. I reached out to Whitaker to see how he was doing. I've yet to hear back. He won. And of course, our Michelle Herron mentioned that the polls will be closing at 7 o'clock, and we'll be out here monitoring the situation, giving you updates on tonight's election. So stay with us both on air and inside our app. And if you're with us at 5 o'clock, you saw the pouring down rain come in, but that rain didn't stop the voters you see right behind me. Now, the polls are going to be open until 7 o'clock, and we're going to stay out here monitoring the situation. We'll bring you live coverage coming up on Eyewitness News at 11. We've also learned 2 firefighters were taken to a local hospital for the injuries they sustained here at the scene. Good news is they're both in stable condition. The cause of the fire is unclear and is still under investigation. Now, Carpenter stated he isn't sure how long it will take to get the Alston property up and running. Now, Army engineers at last week's press conference, which was at UTC, stated it would take at least 21 days to get these facilities statewide up and running.
Death is a real possibility with this stuff. It kills people every day. We see it.
Timing is everything when it comes to saving a life.
Doug Evans,
Been a paramedic in Hamilton County
7 years.
When he first started, it was rare that he answered an overdose call.
We didn't run this many overdoses when I first started in this business in 2011.
But in the last 4 years,
I see somebody that struggles with opioid addiction or is overdosed.
it's gotten worse.
We go out on opioid overdoses usually once a shift.
EMTs have a decent supply of Narcan on hand.
We usually use 3 or 4 doses a week at least.
Depending on the drugs, it usually takes 1 dose of Narcan to wake someone up. But some overdose cases require more.
The most Narcan I've given somebody is 12 milligrams, which is 6 doses.
But what's more alarming is seeing the same person who overdosed more than once. He says he's responded to the same man 3 times in 1 week.
You know, I've had actually people tell me, oh, just give me some Narcan, I'll be all right.
Paramedics say they respond to overdose calls in numerous places. But paramedic Dwayne Meacham says most calls are for people out in the public.
Either that or around friends, because they want to be found if something goes wrong. I mean, they know they have a problem.
According to the Hamilton County Emergency Management, they've received more than 20 overdose calls in July. In August, that number slightly decreased. But Evans says those numbers can drastically change.
It's more of an education thing than it is a medication thing.
Evans hopes educating addicts and the general public can put an end to the opioid epidemic.
It's everywhere. It's a nationwide problem, and then it just comes down to education. Addicts know about addiction because they're addicted. It's people that aren't addicted that don't necessarily understand what addiction is and how bad it can be.
Last week, a federal judge ruled a former health administrator with Chattanooga's VA clinic was wrongfully terminated after he blew the whistle on several issues with clinics in the area. Tonight, he's talking with our Jake Chapman, who joins us live from the VA with this story. Jake?
Cindy, Christopher Marcus worked for the VA for several years and noticed several problems with the clinic. Now, he's speaking out tonight because he says veterans in the Chattanooga area are not getting the help they need.
So it's very personal to me when I can't take care of a veteran, when they come into me and say, why am I having to wait 4 hours to see my doctor for a scheduled appointment? And I can't answer that question.
Christopher Marcus reported the issues of long wait times and doctors showing up late when he met with VA officials in Nashville.
I had been identifying these things for years to senior leadership in the VA.
Marcus showed us his own performance review before he was terminated. The review shows his job performance was not an issue.
And when you try to fix it, and when you identify those issues and you try to hold people accountable, then you end up terminated for no cause.
He describes the veterans' long wait times and lack of care as heartbreaking.
Know that those are the guys that came back home, and those are the guys that have PTSD, and they have all these issues. Those are the guys that are committing suicides in our VA lobbies and parking lots across the country because they can't get the care that they deserve.
Marcus's superiors allege that he created a hostile work environment on multiple occasions. However, the judge ruled none of the organization's claims were true, stating the agency's specification is baseless and does not support a misconduct finding at all. The judge then states the VA had an institutional motive to retaliate against Marcus, reversing the VA's decision.
Because we were changing the culture, we were trying to change the culture to one of service in the Chattanooga VA. So that when somebody calls the Chattanooga VA, they get an answer.
Marcus says the Chattanooga VA has a lot to offer for our veterans, but believes those in charge can do more.
They need to support the other leaders there that are trying to do the right thing. And if they're not doing the right thing and they're not trying to hold their employees accountable, then they need to fix that.
The judge ruled the VA also owes Marcus his back pay, and I reached out to the VA and I'm still waiting for comment on this case. I'll be sure to let you know when I do. Live in Chattanooga, Jake Chapman, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Jake, thank you.
Going to the gym can be hard for anyone, but for Lyndon Stamper, or Lenny as many people know him, working out has changed his life.
New tonight at 11, our Jake Chapman got a chance to sit down with Lenny and share his story.
I just want to show people anything is possible if you put your mind to it.
1, 2, oh yeah, 3, 4.
Lyndon Stamper works out twice a day, 5 days a week. Many at the downtown YMCA know him as Lenny. He started working out about a year and a half ago, and his results are something else.
When I first started out on the leg press machine, all I could do was 40 pounds. So now I'm up to 275 on the leg press. And then as far as like bench pressing and stuff like that, all I could do starting out was 100 pounds. Now I'm doing a 305.
Not to mention he's lost more than 100 pounds. He hopes his fitness journey will inspire others with a disability to work out.
I ride the bus here every day, so you know, I see people around the city in wheelchairs and they're like out of shape, so I want to help them overcome that, you know.
But his journey has been a difficult one.
I have cerebral palsy. I had it since birth, and like doctors always told me I wouldn't have a normal life, so to say. So they told me I would live a life as a vegetable. That's what they told my mom, I would be a vegetable growing up.
It was those words that inspired Lenny to defy all odds. He graduated from Tyner in 2004 and got a job here at the downtown YMCA more than a year ago. He says finding a job with a disability was hard.
Even if you get turned down 1,000,000 times, it might take 1,000,001 for you to get that job. Just don't give up. Man, just because somebody got a disability, don't write them off. That person you writing off could be the one to change the world.
He kept fighting for what he wanted to do, kept pushing toward his goal.
So now my goal is to go from being in this wheelchair to maybe one day walking. That's my main ultimate goal. If I can do that, that'll be the greatest story ever told in my life.
I asked Lenny if he's talked to doctors about his workout routine.
I haven't. I probably should.
What if they told you to stop?
No, I wouldn't listen to that. If they told me I had to stop working out, how can I stop doing something that's brought me this far?
And his fitness journey continues.
Keep putting in the work, keep grinding, get where you want, and eventually it'll happen. Just make no excuses about what you want, just get it done.
In Chattanooga, Jake Chapman, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
No excuses. Stamper says he has 4 children, and they are another part of his motivation to continue to exercise daily. He wants to show them his disability will never stop him.
The husband of the woman killed in a plane crash last year filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the pilot's estate this week, claiming he flew recklessly and caused the plane to crash.
Linda Marinello and pilot Frank Davey were both killed when the plane crashed into Chickamauga Lake a year ago this month. Jake Chapman has more about the lawsuit.
It's just about getting justice for my wife. At the end of the day, that's what it is. And if I was in that situation, I'd want her to do the same thing.
It's been 1 year since Chris Marinello lost his wife Linda in a plane crash at Chickamauga Lake.
I can't imagine what the last couple seconds she was thinking. I'm sure she was, I can't imagine.
Chris was in Detroit when his son called about what happened. He then immediately called his in-laws and gave them the news.
Man, I'll tell you what, that call, it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Marinello is now suing the pilot in the crash, Frank Davey. The lawsuit claims Davey was reckless and negligent when flying that day. It is asking Davey's estate for $550,000.
That there's enough information here to assign specific causes to this.
Marinello says he's been a pilot for 27 years, and whenever you have a passenger on board, you have to be cautious.
Would never think of putting not only myself, but my passengers' health and safety at risk.
He hopes this lawsuit can also teach other pilots about flying safer with others on board.
My call to other pilots is, look, if you know somebody's doing something that can endanger somebody, say something. Don't let somebody else get killed.
He says the hardest part of this was Chattanooga lost more than a great teacher.
A bright light.
His best friend.
Jake Chapman with that report. Marinello says his children and the rest of his family have been a tremendous help during this tough time. He's representing himself in this case. Davey's family has 21 days to respond to the lawsuit.
Millions of protesters across the country, including right here in Chattanooga, are demanding action on climate change. Plus, it's Friday night, which means high school football is in the air. We'll have scores, highlights, and much more straight ahead.
Coverage you can count on. Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jake Chapman, filling in for Cindy Sexton and Greg Glover. Tonight, all across the world, people are protesting climate change. This in connection to the climate summit happening in New York next week. Hundreds gathered in front of the aquarium, hoping to get the attention of not just our leaders in Washington, but in Chattanooga as well. New tonight, Eastridge police arrested 4 juveniles for an attempted carjacking today. Now, if you take a look at your screen, Chief Stan Allen says officers were investigating a report of suspicious people in the Ridgeside area in an attempted carjacking. Police were able to apprehend 3 of the 4 suspects within minutes. The 4th suspect was later taken into custody by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. All 4 suspects are facing charges of aggravated assault and attempted aggravated robbery. Hamilton County deputies say the man killed in last night's officer-involved shooting was 74-year-old John Emery Sawyer. It happened around 10 last night near Posey Hollow Road in Soddy Daisy. Deputies say Soddy Daisy officers were responding to a domestic disorder call. They say when officers arrived, Sawyer was found with a weapon in hand. They opened fire, killing him. The officers involved have been placed on paid administrative leave per department policy. Some of you may have gotten a robocall from EPB today demanding immediate payment or otherwise your electricity would be cut off. EPB wants you to know that this is a scam. EPB says many of these calls have an 888 area code and should be ignored. Spokesperson Jed Marston of EPB says real EPB calls have a 423 area code and they would never request payment, but simply ask customers to call EPB back to receive more information. If you plan on driving around Market Street on Sunday, you need to be mindful. TDOT will be conducting its quarterly testing on the Market Street Bridge. Now, during that time, the bridge will be closed to through traffic from 8 a.m. until at least 2 p.m. The bridge will be closed to vehicle and pedestrian traffic as the testing is performed, so you will need to find an alternate route. Well, that's it for Channel 3 Eyewitness News at 11, and this is my favorite part. Friday Night Football with Paul Shaheen starts now.